Hello and welcome back to Understanding Depression, where we talk openly and honestly about mental health, without shame, without stigma. I'm so glad you're here. Today we're diving into a topic that's often misunderstood: the complicated relationship between ADHD and depression. If you or someone you love has been diagnosed with ADHD and is also struggling with symptoms of depression, you're not alone. These two conditions frequently overlap, and their connection can be both confusing and exhausting to navigate. In this episode, we'll explore why ADHD and depression often occur together, how they interact, the challenges in diagnosing and treating them, and most importantly, what hope and help look like. Stay with us. Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder, or ADHD, is a neurodevelopmental condition that affects how a person focuses, controls impulses, and manages their energy levels. It's not just a childhood disorder, as many people think. In fact, ADHD can and often does persist into adulthood. People with ADHD may experience symptoms like difficulty paying attention, trouble staying organized, restlessness, impulsive behavior, and difficulty managing time. But it's important to understand that ADHD shows up differently in different people. Some might be more hyperactive, others more inattentive, and many are a mix of both. Because ADHD affects executive functioning, the brain's ability to plan, prioritize, and regulate, it can lead to significant struggles in school, work, and relationships. These daily challenges can wear someone down emotionally. Depression, on the other hand, is a mood disorder. It's not simply feeling sad or down occasionally. It's a persistent, often overwhelming experience of low mood, lack of interest or pleasure in activities, fatigue, difficulty concentrating, and feelings of worthlessness or guilt. While everyone experiences sadness, depression is more intense, lasts longer, and disrupts daily life. It can make even simple tasks feel impossible. Sleep patterns may change, appetite may shift, and some people may even have thoughts of self-harm or suicide. Depression, like ADHD, exists on a spectrum. It can range from mild and episodic to severe and chronic. And when someone is also managing ADHD, depression can sometimes be missed or mistaken for something else. Research shows that individuals with ADHD are significantly more likely to experience depression than those without ADHD. In fact, studies suggest that up to 50% of people with ADHD will experience at least one major depressive episode in their lifetime. But why does this happen? One explanation is the chronic stress that often comes with living with untreated or poorly managed ADHD. Imagine going through life constantly feeling behind, misunderstood, or incapable, especially in environments that don't accommodate neurodivergent brains. That persistent frustration can lead to hopelessness and, eventually, depression. Another factor is rejection-sensitive dysphoria, a term often associated with ADHD, where people experience intense emotional pain in response to perceived rejection or criticism. These intense emotional reactions can lead to feelings of sadness, isolation, and unworthiness, all hallmarks of depression. Biological and genetic factors also play a role. ADHD and depression both run in families, and it's possible that some people are genetically predisposed to both. Additionally, imbalances in neurotransmitters like dopamine and norepinephrine, which affect mood and motivation, are seen in both conditions. Diagnosing depression in someone with ADHD can be tricky. Some symptoms overlap: difficulty concentrating, low motivation, restlessness, and even emotional dysregulation. It's easy for clinicians to mistake one condition for the other, or to miss one entirely. A person with ADHD might show signs of low mood and fatigue, which could be due to the exhaustion of constantly trying to meet expectations and failing. But that doesn't necessarily mean they have clinical depression. On the other hand, if someone with ADHD is suddenly withdrawing, expressing hopelessness, or losing interest in things they used to enjoy, these could be red flags of co-occurring depression. Accurate diagnosis requires a thorough evaluation by a mental health professional who understands both conditions and how they interact. It's not always straightforward, and it can take time. Living with both ADHD and depression can feel like an emotional roller coaster. ADHD might make it hard to start tasks, stay organized, or manage time, while depression saps energy and motivation. Together, they can create a vicious cycle of guilt, self-doubt, and emotional fatigue. A person might beat themselves up for not doing better, not realizing that their brain is wired differently, and that this isn't about laziness or lack of effort. Socially, both conditions can lead to isolation. ADHD might cause someone to miss social cues or appointments, while depression makes it hard to reach out in the first place. Friends and family might not understand the internal battle that's happening. School and work can also become battlegrounds. Deadlines are missed, focus drifts, and emotions may swing unpredictably. Without proper support, this can lead to job loss, academic failure, or broken relationships, deepening the depressive symptoms. But there is hope. With the right treatment and support, people can learn to manage both conditions and live full, meaningful lives. Treating co-occurring ADHD and depression requires a careful, individualized approach. The goal is to address both conditions without making one worse. Medication is often part of the plan. Stimulants like methylphenidate or amphetamines are commonly used for ADHD, while antidepressants like SSRIs are used for depression. Sometimes both may be prescribed, but this should always be managed by a psychiatrist who understands the risks and interactions. Therapy is essential. Cognitive behavioral therapy (CBT) can be particularly helpful for both ADHD and depression. It helps people recognize negative thought patterns, build coping skills, and develop routines that support mental health. Coaching, support groups, and psychoeducation can also make a big difference. Learning about how your brain works can be empowering. You're not broken. You just process the world differently. Lifestyle changes play a role too. Regular exercise, healthy sleep habits, and good nutrition support brain function. Creating external structures like reminders, planners, or checklists can help compensate for executive function challenges. And most importantly, compassion. Being kind to yourself, recognizing your progress, and celebrating small wins can break the cycle of self-criticism that fuels both ADHD and depression. Let's talk about Jason. He's 28 years old and was only diagnosed with ADHD 2 years ago. For most of his life, he was called lazy, irresponsible, or flaky. He believed it too. Jason struggled in school, bouncing between jobs, never feeling like he could get it together. He began to isolate himself, convinced he'd never succeed. Eventually, he spiraled into depression. He stopped seeing friends, barely got out of bed, and constantly berated himself. A therapist helped Jason see the bigger picture. His ADHD had never been diagnosed, let alone treated. Once he started ADHD medication, worked with a coach, and attended therapy, things began to shift. It wasn't instant, but it was real. Jason still has tough days. But now he understands what's happening in his brain. He has tools. And most importantly, he has hope. If you're listening to this and seeing yourself in these stories, know this: you're not broken. You're not a failure. And you're certainly not alone. ADHD and depression together can be overwhelming, but they're also manageable. With the right support, treatment, and understanding, you can live a life filled with meaning, connection, and joy. You deserve help. You deserve clarity. You deserve peace. If you haven't yet, consider reaching out to a mental health professional. Even taking that first step, just asking questions, can be the beginning of real change. And if you love someone living with ADHD and depression, be patient. Learn, listen, and remind them that their value isn't tied to productivity or performance. Thanks for joining us today. If this episode resonated with you, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. You never know who might need this message. And remember, healing is not linear. It's okay to have good days and bad days. What matters is that you keep going. Until next time, take care of your mind and your heart. You're worth it. This podcast is intended for educational purposes only and does not constitute professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. If you are struggling with symptoms of depression, ADHD, or any other mental health issue, please seek help from a qualified healthcare provider. If you are in crisis or thinking about suicide, please contact emergency services or a crisis hotline in your area immediately. You are not alone and help is available.